welcome once again to my vlog. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're here for the first time, welcome, and if you're joining, hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're joining for the first time, I hope you click that subscribe button before you leave this channel. I hope you learned something new today. So let's get right into this video. So just a disclaimer, I'm gonna be looking down at my phone just to look at some information. So don't be bothered by that. But yeah, so if you have seen previous videos from me, I have been on a series regarding my story filing the I-130 for my husband. So I have done 2 parts so far, and this will be the part 3. I will link the last 2 parts that I've done. And today I will be talking about preparing for the interview. This, in my opinion, is one of the most important part of this process, okay? So this is when you know your fate, if you will be coming to the United States of America or not, okay? So first things first, the NVC will send you your interview date. Your interview date is most likely a little bit over a month away from the date they send it to you, so you have enough time to prepare for this interview. So when you get that email, right, if you've watched my last video, I told you everything comes via email after your first approval from the USCIS. So now, when you get this email, they're gonna give you a website that has information regarding the medical part and a checklist for what to bring to the interview. So number one, the medical part is very important. You have to look into the hospital that is certified to do this medical examination. You have to go to that hospital, pay the fee, and get the examination that they need done, right? My advice to you is, do not go do this examination within a week of your interview date. You have to give it at least 2 to 3 weeks, because you do the examination and then they tell you come back in a week or 2, right? So you don't want to go when your interview date is a week away. So that's gonna like put you in a bad position already. So my husband went for his interview, for his medical examination 2 weeks before the interview date, and he got the pack a week before the interview date. So we had enough time. So when you go back, they will give you 2 envelopes for the medical examination. Do not open these envelopes. These envelopes, do not open them. So one thing I would like to mention is that when my husband did get to the embassy, they did tell him to open these envelopes, right? So that's the only time. It's okay for you to open it at that point. But if you open it before that, you kind of just like denied yourself, okay? So that's very important. So this checklist, right? Print it out. They're going to give you a checklist of everything you need to bring to the interview. So most of these things that's on this checklist, you already submitted online. So pretty much you need originals and copies of different things. Definitely the original marriage certificate. So if you're like me, I got married and I came back here, right, to America. So I had taken the marriage certificate with me. So before the interview, I made sure that my husband got this original. They do not want a copy. They want the original marriage certificate. So you have to find a way to get it back to your husband or your wife if you brought it back with you after your wedding. That checklist is very important. Print it out. Check off everything. Make sure you're very organized. I would advise you get a folder. Put all the things that you need to take the embassy, organize them. Things that's about you, things that are about your wife or your husband. So for me, my husband had to have like photocopies of my birth certificate. He had to have photocopies of my tax return. He had to have photocopies of my W-2. So things like that. But he had to also have pictures, pictures that you submitted online, just to, these are things they want you to bring. And also sometimes the police report that they have you get done might expire before your interview date. So make sure you check and make sure there's no deadline with the police report. Just ensure that everything is on time and date correctly, right? So after you have done that checklist, now you have to rehearse questions. So it's not just rehearsing questions, it's making sure that you have consistent information, right? So everything you submitted online, the interviewer will have it open. So when they're interviewing you, they have all your information in front of them. So if they're asking you when did you get married, if they're asking you when is your husband's date of birth or your wife's date of birth, um, I would advise not to have a lag in your answer. Like, just easy, just make it like, airy, because at the end of the day, you're married to this person and they want you to make them believe that you guys are really married, right? So just be careful with that. State everything correctly. Make sure you read the I-130 file that your husband or your wife submitted for you, because there's some things they'll ask, like, where does your wife live? Your wife's parents live. Or they ask you, what's the color of your husband or your wife's eyes? Those are things you need to know. Like, don't take anything for granted. Okay? There's some YouTube vloggers that have done amazing jobs regarding how to go for these interviews. I had sent my husband some videos. I will link some videos for you guys just so you can, rehearse and practice and know exactly what you need to be doing. For me right now, I'm not gonna have like a detailed interview, like questions and answer, but there are videos, and even the NVC website have videos of how to prepare for this interview. So that's pretty much it for the interview process. Like, it's not a long interview. Like, when my husband was going for this interview, I was a nervous wreck. Like, I was so nervous. I didn't sleep that night. So if you're like me on the other end, just know you might not be able to sleep. You might be nauseous. You might just be like shaking the entire night, because like, even though me and my husband are truly married, like, I was really nervous. Just, you always have that thought of you never know, but I was like, God, please, like, just let him, answer the questions correctly and all that. I was super nervous. So guys, after all the preparation, the testing, the questions, the I-130 forms and all that, my husband got his visa. Yeah. Let me insert this. So he got to the embassy at 6:45 a.m. his time, which is 1:45 a.m. my time. So I'm thinking, in another 3 hours, he'll, get the visa and we'll be good to go. No, I did not get a phone call until 7:45 a.m. my time. So I was up the entire night. Like, I was not sleeping, I was awake. But I was so grateful, I was so thankful to God that my husband got the visa. So, just speaking for my husband, like, they asked him 3 questions. And, it went by pretty fast. And then they tell you, congrats, and take your passport from you. And, that's how you know you got the visa. So when you're leaving the interview, they will give you a paper. This paper has information on how, where, and when to pick up your passport that has your visa included in it. When you get this paper, you go on the links that are on that on the paper. You sign up for a tracking for when you can go pick up your passport. And at the embassy, they will take one envelope from you, I believe, and the second one is the one you're bringing when you're coming to America, right? Once you get your visa, you can travel that day. You can travel any day. Have 3 to 6 months to travel, right? You can't get your visa and then be in that country for like a whole year. So you have to travel, within 3 to 6 months. On the NVC website, after interview steps, right? So after interview steps, it's more like, your spouse has to pay the fee for your green card. That's super important, right? The fee for the green card is $220. You have to pay it before your spouse travels into the country. So I had to go on that website. So now, when my husband left the embassy, they gave him this white paper that had information on how to, pick up his passport, where, and all that. But for me, I needed a certain number to sign into a website which is the USCIS.gov/USCIS immigrant fee, something like that. I needed a DOS ID and a number. So when they gave him that paper, it had DOS ID, but it had no information next to it. So we're freaking out, like, okay, so how are we supposed to file? How are we supposed to apply for this green card, right? So for me, it was a little tricky. I was just like, yo, this is crazy. So I did some more research and I, asked around, and then I realized that the DOS ID is the same thing as the NVC case ID. Trust me, like, that was a tough one to find, but I found it. So your NVC case ID is the same as the DOS ID. And the A number now, the A number is always on the email that you received for the interview. At the bottom of that email, when they give you where he's going to go interview, when, the time, the date, and everything, at the bottom, it has the A number. So that's the A number you use to apply for the green card. If you're not in a rush, you can also wait till he gets his passport, and that the A number is also on the passport. So yeah, guys, I hope this video helps you out. I hope your spouse gets the same joy and gladness that we have, and they get that visa. You have what it takes. Go get it. All right? Boom. And thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, I will put my Instagram there. I will put my email address, and you can shoot me an email and ask any questions you like. All right. Take care, guys. See you next time. Bye.